You're sitting at your desk, ready to finish work, but you can't seem to focus. Instead of getting started on anything, you pull out your phone and you head to your bed. Even though, in the back of your head, you know how important this is. You know how much it can impact your future. You ignore all of that and continue scrolling. Each minute passes, and as you get more and more anxious, you start to think to yourself, if I could just get it done, that'll be it. But then you make excuses and avoid it, and before you even know it, it's past the deadline and you have to rush back to finish as much as possible. This has been my life every time I need to get something done. Every day I've had to adjust and manage my AuDHD. I've had to adjust everything from my screen time, to how I study, to how I get my day started, to how I process and read information. It has had its immense downsides. Now, before I start to explain what I've done to manage it, let's explore what it is. AuDHD is the name that people with ADHD and autism give themselves to describe the overlap of the two. While they were once considered exclusive in their own right, recent studies show that 50 to 70% of autistic people also have ADHD. Guy, come on, stop falling off. Damn it. Okay, he won't go. I guess he's just gonna sit there. Now, just to give you an overview of the two, ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is a neurodevelopmental disorder. Some of the most common symptoms are inattention, which makes it difficult to stay on task for a long period of time, or hyperactivity, which can make it hard to sit still and not move every 5 seconds. The problem is, most people see ADHD and think that you're not capable of being attentive, but that's far from the truth. We are capable of being attentive. It's just the way we do it is a lot different. The truth is, ADHD is less of an attention deficit and more of an attention regulation problem. We can focus, especially if the thing we're trying to focus on is something we're interested and passionate about. But if it's boring, it's gonna feel like a chore to us. In fact, when we do focus on something, we enter a state known as hyperfocus. It's when our brain becomes so focused on something that sometimes we forget to go to the restroom or eat. Now, there's a lot of videos breaking down ADHD, and I highly recommend you check it out. In fact, I'll link some in the description below. Now, let's talk about autism. So, autism, like ADHD, is a neurodevelopmental disorder, but it's a bit different. Instead of being, intention based, autism is more about the perspective of the person with the disability. Autism changes how you perceive the world and interact with people around you. Sometimes people refer to autism as spectrum because every autistic person is different. They have different experiences and challenges and struggles. Some autistic people find social situations very frustrating and overwhelming. Others might find specific sounds to be very frustrating and overwhelming. Some even may develop weird, intense interest. For me, one example is that sometimes I take things too literally and I prefer clear and concise, direct explanations rather than vague ones, because it's harder for me to understand vague explanations. I need concise, clear explanation, I guess you could say. Regardless, if you want to know more about autism, I'll leave a video down below. Now, onto something that's a little unfamiliar. Something that's really common between ADHD and autism is something called executive dysfunction. Have you ever felt like you've had trouble processing emotions or prioritizing tasks? or forgetting where you last put your keys? If you have, you probably experienced executive dysfunction before. Executive dysfunction is when the brain has a hard time prioritizing, planning, organizing, and managing time and emotions. It also impairs working memory, meaning it's harder to retain information. Therefore, meaning there's a high chance you'll forget a certain instruction or struggle to remember the answer to the question. What was it? I forgot. Regardless, just like the example before, you weren't just procrastinating. That was executive dysfunction at play. And living with executive function, it makes it harder to do simple tasks and almost impossible to do more complex tasks. And that's how I lived.
Now to my first strategy. Now, what was my first strategy? My first strategy was grouping tasks onto 4 different categories. Actually 5. And this is really great. I took inspiration from a really great YouTuber. So basically what I did is I separated my tasks into sprints.
Sprint 1 is signals, tasks that need to be done immediately by the end of day. Sprint 2 is functions, stuff that generally need to be done periodically, meaning every once in a while. Very busy tasks just to get me started. Sprint 3 is known as study. This sprint is when I need to study something. I put it in here so I can remind myself. Sprint 4 is creative. These are creative tasks that I want to do, stuff like piano practice, vocal practice, anything novel but progressive goes in here. And then finally, Sprint 5, upcoming. I hardly use this one, but when I do, it's to put tasks that are upcoming and very important.
Now, while my first strategy worked for the most part, there was still times when I didn't follow the task board completely. But now I try to follow it loosely, maybe only committing to the signals rather than every sprint beforehand. Sometimes I like to have a grace period where I would just do any sprint I want, and then once a specific time hits, then I do the most important ones and I tackle those after. Other times I just try to time myself when it's a big task and see if I can finish it as fast as possible. And if I can't finish it, I'll just put it up to the next day. My second strategy is less of a strategy and more of a mental reshape. Back a couple months ago, I thought I needed to find a good job. I needed to study something that can ensure me a better job. I wanted to make more money because money was tight. So I chose IT. I was a little bit interested, but it wasn't like fully like something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It was just something that was a backup plan just in case most of my other stuff didn't go through. But as I went to college for it, I started to hate it. There's too much information that I had to understand and it made no sense to me. And sometimes there would be large assignments every 2 weeks that I have to do, and I would be taking nights just to finish it. I never enjoyed it at all. And because of that, I realized this isn't what I want to do. This isn't what I want to study. So I stopped. I quit. And I followed what I wanted to do, and everything's been a lot easier. The thing is, the reason why I'm even bringing this up is because when I do stuff that I actually enjoy, it becomes easier to do. When I do stuff that I don't enjoy, it's really hard to stay consistent with it. So my second strategy worked. I started becoming more productive, and because I enjoyed what I do. I enjoy what I learned. My third strategy is all about reducing distractions. I noticed I get caught up on dopamine loops, so I did the most logical thing. I installed blocks and limits. Now whenever I use Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, I have 6 opens. After those 6 opens, it's blocked. It's helped me a lot. Before I installed the blocks, I would get lost in doom scrolling for hours. Sometimes I would miss whole days where I'm just scrolling and I don't get anything done. There will be times when I have something really important that I have to do, and instead of finishing the assignments, I would just procrastinate and just doom scroll the whole day. But now I go there very infrequently, and now I'm more productive. Now on to the conclusion.
Now, where am I now? Remember in the beginning when I explained how I used to lay on my bed, scroll endlessly, avoid large tasks? Well, I haven't completely stopped the habit. It still happens time to time, but now I have systems to manage it. My strategies obviously aren't the best, but I still push through. My love for music has gotten a lot larger, and I practice piano whenever I can. If I had to compare where I am now to where I was back then, I'd say I'm doing alright. And there's still so much I need to learn in order to get better. Regardless of how many times I fail, I still get back up.